Okay, so for our next lesson, so this is about Module 5, Risk and Return. Okay, so to start with, let us have the learning outcomes of this module. So first is for you to understand the definition of the average rate of return, the simple rate of return, and the expected rate of return, as well as their differences. Second is to familiarize the formula of the capital asset pricing model and its definition. And the third is for you to determine the different types of risks. Okay, so for our first topic in this module, so we will discuss about the average rate of return. So here, when we say average rate of return, this is the average annual amount of the cash flow generated over the life of the investment. So basically, the intention of the enterprise or the management, why they engage and they spend for investment, is for them to gain benefits, more or most likely in the form of cash inflow that will be received in the form of cash or money or other cash equivalents. Okay, so this is the very reason why they invest in a project, even in the long-term assets. So here, in the average rate of return, we will determine what is the average benefit that is being received by the enterprise annually. Okay, so this rate will be calculated by first. Okay, so we will have two formulas here, okay, to get to the average rate of return. So the first is we will have to determine the average annual amount of cash flow. Okay, so to compute the average annual amount of cash flow, all we have to do is here we will add all the expected cash flows. So here, you have to also understand that the investment have its useful life or the expected time when the investment will last. So, for example, if the enterprise decided to invest into an equipment and it has a useful life of 5 years, so the expected lifetime of this investment is also 5 years. So here, for the rest of the 5 years, while the enterprise is using the equipment, so aside from spending the cost and expenses for this investment, they are also expecting to receive something out of using that, okay, equipment. So here, every year, there is a forecast or projection on what amount does the enterprise will receive upon using the investment. So here, what you're going to do is to add all of these cash inflows. For the first year, how much is your inflow? We will add that for the uh, cash inflows to be received also in the next year, the second year, third year, and so on. Okay, so this is um, our numerator here. We will add all the expected cash flows. So the sum of the expected cash flows will then be divided to the number of years of the investment. So in our example, we will divide it by 5. Okay, so after you determined or computed for the average annual amount of cash flow, you can now derive or compute the average rate of return. So how to determine? First, uh, the answer for the first formula above. So the average annual amount of cash flow that we have computed in the first illustration or example, we will divide it by the amount of the investment. So this is how you calculate the average rate of return. Okay, so to understand better, let us take this example. Okay, so we have here an investment for the real estate. So it is expected to generate the following returns or benefit or expected cash inflows. So for the first year, the entity is expecting to receive $22,000. In the second year, they are expecting to receive $32,000. And in the third year, they are expecting to receive 36,000. So here, based on this information, we can say that the life of the investment is for 3 years. Okay, and uh, the additional information or the information also provides us the data about the amount of our investment. So here, the entity will spend or invest $300,000. Okay, so just like what we have explained in the definition part of the average rate of return, so in order for us to calculate this rate, first we will have to compute the average annual amount of cash flow. So based on the given data, if we will follow the formula given, so here what we're going to do is to add all of the expected cash inflows, okay, based on the data. So for the first year, it's $22,000. So we will add that in with the cash inflows for the second year, which is $32,000, and the cash inflow for the third year, which is $36,000. Okay, so after adding all of these amounts, okay, so this is equal to 22,000 plus 32,000. Okay, plus 36 is $90,000. Okay, so to determine the average annual amount of cash flow, so we will divide it by the number of years or the expected life of the investment. So in our example, this is for 3 years. Okay, so here again, our average annual amount of cash flow is 90,000 divided by 3 years, so that is $30,000. Okay, so this is the average annual amount of cash flow. So after we determine this figure, we can now proceed to the computation of the average rate of return. So again, if you could still remember in our formula, okay, so we have average amount of cash flow divided by our investment. Okay, so here, the average annual amount of cash flow that we have determined in the first formula, that is equal to 30,000. So this 30,000 will be divided by the amount of the investment, okay, which is 30,000. So therefore, our average rate of return is 10%. So that is for the average rate of return.